Okay, so we're going to start talking about Merchants of Cool. And the reason I asked you guys to watch this documentary is because it draws a good connection between American consumerism, which was our topic for Essay 1, and gender construction and performance, which is the topic that we're working on for Essay 2. All right, it explains the connection between those two things. That gender construction, the way we build our concepts of what is and is not properly male or properly female in our society, okay, have a lot to do with consumer culture. Advertisers have a lot to say about how we think about gender in our culture. Okay, and we'll continue to talk about that connection as we work through these questions. Starting with this one. All right, so this question asks you to think about the way that the term colonize is being used in this documentary to describe what advertisers are doing to teens. What does colonize mean, literally? What does that word mean? To colonize something, what does it mean? We can just look at the state of California for an example of colonialism.
Well, when I think about colonize, is that I think of like ants, where they like basically build like a community or something like that,
Good.
and
All
then
right,
like
so
they build up like they build their hills, they get their food and such. That's what I think about when I think about the word colonize.
okay, all right. And yeah, so ants are, a group of ants is called a colony, right? Because of the way they all cluster together and work together, right? What are some other ways to understand colonialization? Think about the way people do it. Edgar says, I think about a community. Okay, good. Okay, a colony is a community. People in the chat are saying when a group of settlers establish political control over other groups. Good, that was you, Lisa. And Edgar added setting ground rules, right? So yeah, the colonizer takes over, right? That's what it means to colonize something. It means to take over. And ants do this too, Pablo. They take over a space and they make it their space, right? And then they modify the space to suit them. They dig holes, like under my brick patio, and make all the sand come up, right? But people do this, right? If you look at the history of the state of California, really the whole North and South American continent, right? You can see the effects of colonialism, of colonization, where people from Europe came to North and South America and took over. So taking over is a big part of it. And control, as Ulysses said. What kind of control? You guys, what do colonizers do once they get to a space and take over? What happens to the people who were there before the colonizers arrived? I mentioned the state of California before because it's a really good example of colonialism. If you think about the mission system throughout the state of California, that's a good example of what happens when something is being colonized or a space is being colonized by people, what they do to that space. What did they do? First of all, who did it? Who built the mission system? Edgar said taking over. Yeah, they take over. The Spanish, that's right. They built the mission system, Ulisa says. Right, and why? For what purpose? I know you guys have all been to a mission in grade school, right? You visited Bautista or some other mission in the state. And why were those missions built? To convert natives to their religion. Exactly, Ulisa. Okay, so there goes my neck. Oh. So the people who lived here before the Spanish arrived, Native Americans, they had their own culture and they had their own religion, right? They had their own culture and cultural practices their own ways of doing things and being and belief systems, right? And the Spanish, what was their religion? Or is? What religion were the natives being converted to through the mission system? Do you guys know? Yeah, Catholicism. Edgar and Ulisa both said. Yeah, Catholicism. So the Spanish thought that their religion was better than the pagan native religion. They thought that native people were savages and heathens, and they needed their souls to be saved. The Spanish had to save their souls and convert them to Catholicism and civilize them, teach them how to be civilized. Okay, so colonize means to take over and then to impose your values and beliefs on the people and the space that you're taking over, to change it, to reflect you and your values and your beliefs, right? So they built things that were unlike the things that were there before. They imposed their values on the people that were here before. All right. And that's why the frontline producers use this term colonize to describe what advertisers are doing to kids. They're saying that's what advertisers are doing to kids. They're trying to colonize them. They're trying to take them over, okay, take their culture over, youth culture. That's what the documentary is about. It's about youth culture, specifically gender within youth culture and how it is constructed. Okay. And the documentary argues that advertisers are trying to impose their values and their ways of doing things on kids to be consumers. They're trying to make sure that kids are going to be consumers and going to consume all of the stuff that goes with what the advertisers tell them is feminine or masculine as a way of being and a way of looking and a way of behaving. Does that make sense, you guys? And is that what you put in your answer for this question? I haven't looked at them yet because as I mentioned, I'm overwhelmed, just like you. Okay, but does that make sense? Damien says yes. Thank you for that response, Damien. I need to know you guys are with me and that I'm not out here alone in cyberspace looking at a bunch of black boxes. Thank you, Ulisa, for the thumbs up. Okay. All right. And Andrew and Pablo, yes, thank you. Thank you for responding. I appreciate it. Okay, so the next one there, then. What does it mean to commodify everything? What is a commodity, you guys? A commodity is what? Did you Google it? If not, go ahead. Go ahead and Google it. And someone tell me what the definition of commodity is. Nobody? Nobody's Googling it? Who knows? Or you can speak, right? You can type into chat or you can speak your definition of the word commodity or the definition you found when you looked it up. Okay, Ulisa says a raw material or primary agricultural product, and that's true, but that can be bought or sold. That's the important part, isn't it? And Maria agrees and Ashley agrees. Okay, something that can be bought or sold is a commodity. Okay, so that's the noun. Commodity is a thing, right? Commodify is a verb. It's what you do. Okay, it's something that is done to make something into a product that can be bought or sold. All right, so some examples from the documentary, right? Lots of them relate to youth culture, right? And I'm thinking about the Juggalos as an example, all right, as an example of youth culture that was created by kids outside of consumer culture in the underground, right? But then, okay, people who want to sell you stuff saw that and said, oh, shoot, we can commodify it. we can turn it into something that can be bought or sold, right? What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's cool to commodify everything? Yeah, is everything up for grabs by consumer culture? No, Yulisa? The documentary would agree with you. The documentary is complaining about that. It's complaining about the way that American consumer culture appropriates everything that we create, all of the things that kids create, the music they create, the styles they create, okay, the practices that they create, the dances that they create, okay, the activities that they like to do, okay. Spring break is an example in the documentary of the commodification of culture. Kids going, taking their Easter break and going to the beach, and hanging out and drinking too much and taking off all their clothes and dancing around, right? And they used to just do that for their own pleasure. But then, people said, oh, hey, we can turn this into a commodity. And MTV did that. It turned it into a TV show that they used to sell stuff. Remember, Kilborn says, there is no cultural product that is not an ad. Everything is an ad. Okay. So, they made their spring break TV show, which is off the air now, right? It's okay, David, don't worry about it. Um, and, then they ran ads in between to sell you stuff. Okay. Beer, um, shoes, uh, all the stuff that you need to have if you're going to participate in spring break and wear or not wear that stuff. Okay, or consume those products. All right. So the documentary doesn't like that. It says that that's bad, that everything shouldn't be a commodity, right? That culture should be just a natural expression of people's creativity. And everything shouldn't be turned into a product. Okay. These two questions kind of go together. Number 3 is kind of a trick question. Sorry, I don't usually pose those trick questions. But number 4 is the answer to number 3. And the answer to number 3 is neither. It's not either or, it's both, right? And I hope you got that, because that's what the feedback loop is, right? Number 3 refers to an argument that the people who make TV shows or films make about how they're not responsible for influencing the behavior of kids. They say, no, remember in the documentary, one of the producers of a TV show that sexualizes kids or that focuses on their sexual behavior, that producer says, you know what, we think we handle sex responsibly, right? We're just reflecting back to kids what they're already doing. We're just being a mirror. We don't have any responsibility for influencing them. And that's disingenuous. They do have a responsibility. Okay? Kids are not simply mimicking what they see in the media either, as the documentary explains. It's a giant feedback loop, right? What is that? How does the documentary define giant feedback loop?
They take the people's information, and then find out a way of how to sell it, certain products or whatever, and then only to show what they want, their interpretation,
That's
so that
right.
we see an input. Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry, it's Zoom, Ashley. I thought you were done. Okay, but that's right. And also, I got excited. Sorry. But that's right. Their interpretation is super important, right? So media is not just reflecting back to kids what kids are already doing, The media is watching the kids, as the documentary explains. And Lisa says the giant feedback loop refers to how the media watches kids and sells them an image of themselves, right? And then the kids watch those images and aspire to be that mook or midriff. That's right. Okay, that's almost a direct quote from the film. Good. But that's the thing, is that the media doesn't just reflect what the kids are already doing, but it watches what they're doing, and then it manipulates what they're doing a little bit, right? And gives them something else that's closely related to what they're already doing, right? But it's kind of an exaggeration of what they're doing. Isn't that right, you guys? That's what the mook and the midriff are. They're stereotypes that exaggerate teenage male and female behavior and looks. They're extreme versions of what kids were doing. Okay? And so it's not just a mirror, and kids aren't simply mimicking, it's both. And that's the loop. It keeps going like this in a loop. Is everyone having a hard time hearing me? Can you guys hear me? How about now? My mic says my voice is loud. I'm looking at the little gauge on my mic, and it says I'm loud. So everybody's having a hard time hearing me? The audio goes in and out. Oh my God, that's a disaster. I hate that. I've got my headphones in on purpose. Okay, so maybe I'll take my headphones out. All right, and see how that goes. Sorry, let me fiddle with my sound settings. Hang on. Okay. All righty, let's see. I have to move stuff around. Okay. I have to go over here. Devices, and I'm going to disconnect my headphones and just use disconnect. Okay. Crap. Right, let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. Okay, let's see, how are we doing now? I'm using my computer mic. How's that, you guys? Is that better? Okay, good. Maybe my headphones are running out of battery. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Hopefully the recording is not ruined. Technology. Okay. So what I was saying about the giant feedback loop, right? And about the question, the answer to number 3 is that it's not either or. Media is not just a mirror, and kids are not simply mimicking what they see. They're not just copying what they see. It's both. It's a loop. Okay? And what keeps the loop going is the exaggeration, the way that the media watches the kids and then takes what the kids are doing and then exaggerates that. The media amplifies it. Okay? And I was saying that the mook and the midriff are examples of that. They're examples of an exaggeration of male and female behavior and looks. All right? So that they can sell you stuff. That's always the purpose, right? And remember what Derek Ashani said about consumerism? He said people are only temporarily satisfied. And if you put Derek Ashani together with Kilborn, right, who talks about pathology and how the advertising culture makes it impossible for you to be happy with how you look and impossible for you to be happy with what you have, right? Then you can sort of imagine why the feedback loop works the way it does and why the media does that. Okay, it needs to continually amplify and exaggerate and give us something new to keep the loop going, to keep us wanting more. Does that make sense, you guys? Give me some indication that A, you heard me, and B, you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. Thank you, Maria. Do you know what film I just referenced? Did I ask you guys that already? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? No, nobody? Rush Hour, anyone? Old movie? Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. I don't know. I don't know if I asked you guys that already. It's one of my favorite references. I have a bunch of them in my head that just come out, film references. Okay, so that's the giant feedback loop and how all of this stuff and gender construction connects to consumer culture. Gender is one of the things that consumer culture is constructing for us. So that we need to have all the stuff that goes with the look, the way of being a female that advertising wants us to accept and then pursue and get all the stuff that goes with it. Okay? All right, let me ask you this one. What are some of the gendered cultural values that advertising culture and consumer culture draw on, right, and promote, right? Because it's the feedback loop. They're not just reflecting the values we already have, they are actively shaping those values at the same time. It's both. So what are some that they promote? They draw on them and then they promote them through amplification. What are some? Men's cologne will attract women. Okay, Tyler. And so that's one of the things, one of the values that men have naturally that consumerism uses to sell them stuff so they smell better. They tell them women will be more attracted to you if you have this on. They'll like the way you smell, right? Okay. And so the value there is that men need to smell good and attract women. That's the value. Okay, shampoo. Okay. Women need to smell good too. All right. What else? What are some other values that consumerism uses to sell us stuff? And then promotes. They keep those values going. Women have to be beautiful, Ulysses says. That's right. And use their sexuality. And that's their only interest, right? The most important thing about you, if you're a girl, is your looks. That's what the documentary argues anyway. And they're analyzing our culture. They're looking out at our culture and they're saying, okay, what kinds of values do I see being promoted in this culture? And specifically by ads. Ads are telling women that the most important thing about them is their bodies and how they look so that they can attract a man. And then Ulysses also says for men, it would have to be that they're strong, smart, and have macho interests. Okay? That they're powerful and dominant. That's macho, right? And the tricky one for me was sexuality, right? Have that value, that what's most important about you is your sexuality. Pablo says the Carl's and Hardee's commercials are perfect examples. That's right. Carl's Jr. ads. Do you guys know what Pablo's talking about? Let's look at some. They're crazy, you guys. Let's see. They're really crazy. Carl's Jr. I'm just going to let Google help me, and then I'm going to go to images. Okay, there's some burgers, but let's find the ones we're talking about here. All right, this is actual food, but they use women to sell this food. There's one. A pretty blonde woman has this burger smashed in her face, okay? They're not subtle, you guys. All right, let me add, it'll help me if I add women to this search. That'll make it go faster. There we go, that's what I was looking for. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm moving my chat around so I can see my own screen. But look at these ads, you guys. Look at this one. She's got 2 burgers in front of her breasts. The burgers are the breasts. It's not subtle, like I said. Okay, and look at this one. Whoops, that's the one I wanted to show you. Okay, look at her. Look at him. Look at that giant hamburger. They're not that big, are they? The Carl's Jr.'s burgers aren't that big. Look at this one. It's not subtle, right? Okay. So women's bodies are used to sell all kinds of things. Hamburgers, you name it, cars. Let me just do trucks. All right, not that kind of truck. Women truckers. Okay, there's one. Here's somebody's butt washing a truck. That's what's important about her, right? Is her backside and how it's hanging out there. Okay, let's see. Let me add ads to this. Okay, here's some old ones that show that this has been going on for a long time. Women's bodies being used to sell things. All right, here's a woman's body being used to sell something, I guess an engine or something, I don't know. All right, let me add something more specific to this. Let me try Ford. Oh my God, I hadn't seen that one before. That's an ad that shows women bound and gagged in the back of a truck. That's horrifying. And there's another one. All right. Okay. Anyway, you guys know the ads I'm talking about. If I wanted to spend more time on this, which I don't. Oh, Ashley says Cindy Crawford did a Carl's commercial. Kim Kardashian. I know, you guys. Kim Kardashian and that other, the blonde one, Paris. I saw her in military, back in some wars, and possibly today. Arby's commercial, Pepsi, all of them, right? All of these products use women's bodies. And they're selling a particular version of femininity at the same time to women. They're using the things that we already believe about how a woman should look and how she should behave. And then they're amplifying them, they're exaggerating them. Okay? Some of those ads we looked at for Carl's Jr. were extreme exaggerations of the sexualization of the female. Okay? So for women, it's sex. That's one of the cultural values that the market draws on and promotes most consistently. What about for men? What cultural values do we have about masculinity? How should a man be? How should he look? How should he behave? No idea?
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ashley.
I see that GMC or Chevy, also Ford, has like these really manly, rough and tough for their truck commercials, for like the Silverados or the F1 or different truck types, models.
Yeah. Yeah. What's their slogan?
Ford is, I think, built tough.
That's it.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how we know that? Guys, I don't even care about trucks. I don't care at all about trucks, but I know their slogan. That's concerning to me that I know that. And I mute the ads in my house and I still know them. I still know them because they're all around us. We're swimming in it. Culture. All right. Whether we are aware of it or not, whether we want to accept it or not. And this is what Kilborn argues, right? That we're all being influenced by consumer culture, whether we want to accept it or not. Many of us don't. Many of us like to think we're immune to advertising culture. Okay, but the values for men are that they need to be strong, they need to be dominant. Old Spice. Okay, Maria, that's a good example, right? Because Old Spice, and again, how do I know these things? I don't know. I just do. It's insidious.
I believe their slogan is smell like a man. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. And what is that? Smelling like a man would be like what? What are some adjectives that you could use to describe how a man should smell?
Um,
Like flowers?
no, like, I don't know, manly.
Yeah.
I guess like,
It's hard until you start thinking about it.
yeah.
And that's what I'm asking you guys to do. I'm asking you to think about stuff that we just don't notice because it hits our subconscious. But we need to be consciously aware of this stuff, at least for this class, so that you can write an essay. Then you can forget it if you don't ever want to think about this again. But for now, you got to think about it, right? And this stuff is designed to fly under your critical thinking radar. You're not supposed to notice it. You're just supposed to accept it unconsciously as part of culture, right? As if it's just natural, but it isn't. It's not. It's being constructed. Okay, so Old Spice is called Old Spice on purpose because men aren't supposed to smell like flowers. They're supposed to smell spicy, right? They're supposed to
I
smell kind
think
of.
for sorry, I think for the Old Spice, they actually instead of like it'll have the scent, but I also think it has like certain phrases or words to get the attention.
Yeah. And it uses humor, doesn't? Don't those ads use humor? They're silly. They're silly, silly ads. And that's because the guys who are in the target audience appreciate that. They want to smell good, but they don't really want to take it too seriously, or at least they want to act like they don't take it too seriously. Right? So that's why those ads use humor to sell their product to men who really deep down want to smell good because they want to attract a woman. All right. But they don't want to act like they take it seriously. They want to act like it's a big joke. Okay. Because caring about what women think, you guys, isn't masculine. You're not supposed to care what a woman thinks about how you smell. Okay, moving on. All right. Good. I think we're getting this. All righty. Let me go back to my agenda here, which I think I may have lost. Oh, no, it's just, I just covered it up with this file. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is put you guys in groups so you can talk to each other about Pfeiffer and Hall. And remember, I gave you that assignment late Wednesday, which because I gave it to you late Wednesday, I made due by 11 a.m. today to give you a little more time to do it instead of the usual 11:59 on the night before. And I'm sorry if you found that confusing. I'm just trying to adjust to the fact that nobody signed up to lead discussion, or one person did. One person signed up to lead discussion. All right, and that's not enough for these two texts. One person signed up for Pfeiffer, and nobody signed up for Hull. Okay, we have some people for Kimmel for next week, which is good. And I've made your document, you guys, if you're Kimmel people, and you should have received notification of that. All right, but there's still space for people to do Vincent and Zirin, I think, or maybe I'm getting confused. Maybe it's Vincent and Zirin for 5030 and Kimmel for 5029. I can't remember. All right, but at any rate, take a look at the sign-up sheet that is for this class, right? And sign up to lead discussion. Otherwise, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make another set of quotes that you guys need to unpack, that everybody needs to do. All right. I've decided that it doesn't make sense for me to assign people to lead discussion when I don't even get to see you. All right. We're all separated by cyberspace. Okay. So that's why I did it that way. All righty. So what I'm going to do, these are the questions that I made. And I explained all of that I just said right there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to copy and paste these into a chat so that you guys can look at them and talk about them in your breakout rooms. But if you didn't do these, then you can just use the discussion questions that are at the end of each document, the end of Mary Pfeiffer and the end of Hall's document, to help guide your discussions. There are no leaders. I hope that's clear. So you guys are going to have to figure out on your own how to facilitate your discussions in your small groups. Or you can use the quiz questions that you answered, hopefully, about these two texts to help guide your discussion, okay? All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing now and try to copy and paste these things into chat. So give me a second before I put you into breakout rooms. This might take me a minute to figure out how to do this. Where'd my chat go? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Oops. I have to share screen with you again so I can see it. Pardon me for flipping around here. Okay, let me see. I can copy and paste all this stuff. So I'm just going to copy and paste the quotes, not all of the instructions there. Let me see how this goes. I think the last time I did this earlier, I tried to do too much at once. And I don't want to do privately. I want to do everyone. Okay, let me see what I got here. I didn't get it all. IQ scores and drop the, let's see. Okay, right here. This is where it ended. So I'm going to try to do this piece and add it. Can I? No, I can't. Well, can I? Let's see. No, I can't. Okay, I have to send this one and then I have to do another one. Okay, where did this one end? Okay, that one ended where I wanted it to. All right, so that's Pfeiffer in those two. And let's see if I can get Olive Hull. Hull, I picked some shorter quotes for Hull. No, I didn't get all of those either. Okay, let's see. Where did it end? It ended with body hyphen. Oops, I gotta move my chat. I gotta move my Zoom window. Oh, just right here. Okay, right here. So I gotta copy that and paste that in. All right. So you you have these in 3 different chat comments. Okay. Lizeth says her internet is being unstable. That's fine. Okay. It's annoying, but you know, we'll just have to work with it. Okay, so I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms now. I've got those quotes copied into chat so everybody can see them, and you guys can use them for your discussion or not. You can decide. All right. Let's see. I'm going to do 4 rooms. All right, here we go. All right, so you guys know what to do, right? You need to join the meeting. All right, and here I go. And I'll pop in and out. David, are you going to be able to join a meeting, or is there technical difficulty that you're having with that? Can you hear me, David? Should I type at you instead? I'll try typing at you. Oops. I'm a terrible typist. Sorry. Oh, Christ. Whoop. Sorry. Sorry for cussing. There we go. I did it. I typed. There we go.